I now call to order the City Commission meeting of February 20th, 2017. First is invocation with Corey Landreth in Real Life Church.
That was perfect.
Oh, perfect.
That was, I hate to say better than the original, but
Yeah,
that was pretty good. It is good to be here and to have the opportunity to bless you as you make decisions tonight for the city and for all of us, and I get to be a part of that, and the school is calling me. But anyway, it is good to be here, and I appreciate all the work that you guys do. So let's pray, and then we'll bless you. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your presence here tonight. Great spiritual leaders like Moses, Noah, Joshua, and Jesus have always faced challenges, and they have always faced opposition. Some love them and some hate them. Regardless of the struggles, though, you have always given wisdom, insight, and understanding to those who seek it. Tonight, I pray for these leaders, that you would indeed give them wisdom, insight, and understanding in step with their role and the decisions they have to make this evening. I thank you for your guidance in all things, and mostly for your grace and mercy equal to the calling that you place on each of our lives. And so, Father, tonight, would you be here, be present, give wisdom, understanding, and insight to these folks as they lead and direct our great city. We ask that in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
We will now do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next on our agenda is personal appearances, and I am really pleased to welcome Reagan Laddie, who is our winner of essay contest for Mayor of a Day, right?
Yep.
So with that, she's going to come down and at the podium. Since she was winner of the Mayor of the Day essay contest, we gave her the opportunity to open our meeting tonight, and she did an excellent job. Thank you for that.
Okay. I'm Reagan, and I'm in 7th grade, and I was the Southeast Regional winner. So here's my essay. As mayor, I would enhance quality of life in El Dorado. To accomplish this, I would promote city beautification, arts and recreation, and goodwill between the cities. I would also be sure everyone's opinion is included before any final decisions are made. To promote city beautification, I would hold community-wide volunteer cleanup days. I would also help organize and sponsor different community service groups to help complete these tasks. Assisting small businesses is another way to enhance beautification. I would provide grants and donations for needs such as new furniture, paint, and decorations. Supporting businesses would bring more companies and manufacturers to El Dorado, something that many citizens think we don't have enough of. If more businesses came to El Dorado, it would also bring in more money. Supporting the arts and recreation is also important. I would support activities such as the community band, parks, lake, and community read. As mayor, I would support them by promoting and attending their events. The best way to build a strong, culturally rich society is to start with kids in schools and support their musical and artistic endeavors. I would also want to have a healthy, involved community. We can achieve this by attracting additional activities such as the lake, bike path, and bowling alley. Mayors have a very important title and responsibility. As mayor, you work for the people, not vice versa. Mayors are the citizens' head representative in council meeting and are responsible for considering their questions and concerns.
Wow. Excellent.
I'd vote for
Well
it.
done, yeah. Any comments from the commission?
Introduce your parents.
Yes.
Oh, those are my parents, Kathy and Russell Laddie.
Great.
That was really well done.
Very well done. Do you mind if the paper has a copy of your essay to publish?
Sure.
You already have it? Do you mind doing that?
Nope.
That would be excellent for everybody to read that. It's as well. That's gives me a chance to have a copy of it too. There's some good things in there. Reagan, thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you.
Next, Kurt Bookout, you've got tall order. Can you top that?
Well, I wasn't nervous until Reagan gave her speech. That's a tough act to follow. So, great job. Well, it's very good to be here. Look forward to this annual update to talk about things we've done in the past and things that we have coming up in the future. Want to start out what everybody thinks about is rates. What does it cost me? I will tell you that I had updated some of my slides and they were lost in the cloud over the last day, and so but this is not one of them. This is rates before our most recent increase. We'll tell you. This is the rate for. Let's see. Go back. These are sewer rates. With the most recent rate increase, assuming none of the other cities had any increases, which is probably not an accurate assumption, we may lose 3 or 4 places, probably 3 places. Assuming that other cities also have rate increases, we may not lose any as far as our ranking in sewer rates. Water rates, we're actually almost $5 from the nearest, and we only went up 1.5%, so we're still the 3rd lowest water rates in the region. And this is an important year. We may have to throw a birthday party, 80th birthday for El Dorado water treatment. It was started construction in 1935, completed in 1937, and is in better shape than it's ever been. And so we're very proud of the fact that the water treatment plant not only produces great water, but the infrastructure's been updated and it's in great shape, and it should go another 80 years. And along with that, produces great water. This is the 2nd best tasting water in Kansas award that we won, and so I'm very proud of that. Some of our 2016 projects in water treatment, we have a big thank you. Thank you to Westar. Westar relocated the light that illuminates McCollum Water Tower at no cost to the city. There was a sweet gum that had grown up in front of it, and they moved it further into the park, so that tower is well lit now. We also painted that water tower this last year, and very surprised at the bids that came in. We actually painted the water tower for about half the price that we painted it 15 years ago. So we had great bids on that. There's a lot of things when you think about an 80-year-old facility that runs 24/7, 365 days a year. There's just a lot of equipment that continually has to be upgraded, and so some of these aren't going to make sense, but new Chemtrack analyzer and a booster pump station, that just allows us to monitor chlorine residuals out in the system. The same thing at the 6th Street Water Tower, and they replaced the turbidimeter in the lab, which was almost as old as I guess we bought it about 3 years after I came to work for the city. And flow transmitters on the filters, and then installed new pre-chlorine analyzer equipment, and that equipment that we replaced was put in around 1982, I think. Other recent improvements, of course, the generator, the new pump room equipment, the switch gear that was replaced here in the recent past, new higher efficiency VFD drive motors to keep our electric costs down, and then, of course, the generator project, and the generator also supplies backup power for Holly Frontier, post-chlorine analyzer, some air-actuated valves. This is one of the more innovative things that we came up with, We came up with to improve safety so we didn't have to break ice in the basins, and we found out that it actually improves water quality by reducing THMs and HA5s. So there's the aerator in action. Sodium permanganate, this was added a couple of years ago, actually a few years ago, in response to after the drought of 2011 through 13, we had some taste and odor problems, started experimenting with sodium permanganate, which is an approved chemical for water treatment, and found that it did an excellent job and actually allowed us to lower not only our carbon but our coagulant dosage at a cost savings. Other infrastructure improvements around the city, 8th Street lift station improvements. That's our largest lift station, utilizing about $400,000 worth of grant money. BG and Barton Solvents improvements, our west booster pump station to improve water pressure on the west side of town. Prison lift station improvements. One of the reasons I'm going through these two is it's important to see where we spend money over the last 5 to 10 years.
You just can't read about it while you're skipping through.
Okay. Star Street water main project. This was replacing undersized, deteriorating 4-inch lines. And I've got a graph later that's going to help you see the results of replacing some of these undersized and deteriorating water lines. Water treatment plant generator projects, that was a $1.2 million project. Holly Frontier actually contributed to a portion of that project since they utilized the generator too. North Main Water Extension, the 1.5-mile loop of 12-inch pipe that goes up to serve the new middle school, and soon will also be serving the new grade school on North McCollum. A new parallel water line under the channel out at the lake, and so this is our main water supply line, a 36-inch line from El Dorado Lake. There's actually a 24-inch line that parallels that, and with this project it allowed those lines to be completely redundant, so we have a backup if one goes down. Central sewer improvements, this was the project to enlarge the sewer that is downstream of the hospital. And so that sewer line was near capacity all the time, and so this new sewer line will help alleviate any sewer backups or problems there. New water mains for development. Some of the developments are starting to pick up a little bit. We've laid new water mains in Belmont Heights, College Acres, Chris Edition, Prairie Land Estates, and Greens and Prairie Trails. And Southwest El Dorado sewer improvements. This was the big sewer project last year, utilizing CDBG grant money, and replaced about 1.2 miles of undersized 6-inch sewer pipe, used pipe bursting to pull in a new 8-inch pipe where the 6-inch pipe was, and then went in and reconnected all those service lines to homes. So not only did it increase the capacity, but it increased the reliability, less call outs, less root problems, all the things that are associated with deteriorating pipe. So some projects on the horizon. Northeast pressure zone and improvements to serve the new elementary school. We put the pump station, the booster pump station on the west side of town. The new lowest area of pressure right now is in the northeast part of town. It's also a good, that's a combination of distance from the water treatment plant, which is the pump station that provides that pressure, and also the elevation out in the northeast part of town. Northeast basin sewer improvements. So we're looking at some improvements that will not only serve the new elementary school, but will also lay the groundwork for any future developments. We don't want to put something in now that won't have the capacity for future development. And then, of course, last but not least, continuing ongoing conversations with communities in the region to discuss the best way to utilize El Dorado's surplus water supply in El Dorado Lake. Just some quick stats from the water treatment plant. About half of our water that we produce, the potable water, is sold outside the city. You can see that. Some of our largest customers, Rural Water 6, Rural Water 5, are about 115 million gallons per year. The prison, about 60 million gallons a year. Inside versus outside city water, the interesting thing to point out on this graph is that in dry years, inside city use exceeds outside city use. And the reason for that is the water's cheaper inside the city, and so we use water to irrigate, and water sold outside the city to rural water districts is very expensive water, and it's not typically used for irrigation. Raw water users, you can see the refinery, of course, is the largest single user of raw water, 4.3 million gallons per day. Water treatment's about 3.4 million gallons a day. And then you've got Augusta, and then of course Prairie Trails and the Greens and Vintage. Water distribution, sewer maintenance. Just some stats about the infrastructure that they take care of. I'm not going to go through those. But I did want to point out some things in these graphs. Meter replacement program. We're currently on track. If we replace about 300 to 400 meters a year, that will keep up with the rate of replacement, so that meters are replaced about every 15 years. So we don't want meters to get older than 15 years old before we replace them. New water meter services, certainly a direct correlation to development. So you can see where development fell off in 2007 and starting to come back up again. Hydrant replacement program. We have, this isn't indicative of development or anything. It's really about making the time to replace the old style Ludlow hydrants with Kennedy hydrants. And so we're just about there to get all of the hydrants replaced so that we're standardized on one type of hydrant. Valves replaced. When Gary Taylor took over as water distribution sewer maintenance superintendent, we started a valve turning program which identified a lot of broken valves in the system. And so there were, from 2009 to 2012, we replaced a lot of valves in the system, and it looks like we only replaced one last year, and that's a good thing. That means we're getting caught up with the broken valves. Water main replacement program. We talked about this earlier, but since 2010 we've replaced about 20,000 feet of undersized pipe, and the results is, you can look here, we've dropped from about 100 leaks a year, 90 to 100, down to 26 leaks last year. And so dramatic drop in leaks, primarily due to the fact that we've replaced a lot of the old deteriorating undersized pipe. Service requests, these are just the numbers of requests that are called in, not necessarily the work that we schedule each day, but the work that is requested. This is something that, as I talked with Gary, this is indicative of all of the work that AT&T has done pulling fiber in town, and also Kansas Gas Service. You look at that, 3,548 locates. That's a man going out and locating all of our utilities that many times during a year. So tremendous workload on locates, and we're hoping to get that number back down again. Moving on to sewer. Sewer mains flushed. While you can see that the number of feet that we flush sewers each year has dropped dramatically, that's not the real picture, and the reason for that is what has increased is vapor rooting. When we vapor root, we also flush sewers, so you actually have to combine those numbers, and so we're getting all of the root problem under control. Sewer televised, this is just going out and televising to make point repairs if we have problems. Our point repairs have gone down, that's a good sign. Root saw treatment. And Kendra, I am rolling through these because there's a lot and I don't want to take too much time, but just holler if you have something you want to question on. This is a good slide. What it points out is we get lots of calls for sewer blockages, but as you can see, only about 30, maybe 35% of the time are we actually blocked. So every time somebody calls and says my sewer is plugged, most of the time it's actually a problem with the service line. One of the things that is helping this is service line warranties, people signing up for the sewer warranty. We've had a tremendous amount of service lines in town replaced through that program, which lowers our number of calls. And last in the sewer topic is we take every opportunity to try and encourage people not to flush wipes. This is the #1 problem in sewers in the United States right now that causes blockages everywhere. These wipes get caught in pumps and things, and they get caught in the sewers. This is what causes probably 90–95% of our sewer blockages. Used to be grease problems, and now it's the wipes, people flushing wipes and things like that down the toilet. So they need to go in the trash. Same thing here. Water reclamation facility, 10-year anniversary this year. I feel a little redundant when I talk about the awards out there. I guess I could just say that the guys that operate that plant and the plant itself, it's the best in the state and has been since it was built. We won the Best Plant in the State award in 2009 and 10. You can only win it 2 years in a row. We sat out in 2011. We won it again in 2012 and 13. We sat out in 14. We won it again in 15 and 16. So basically every year that we've been eligible to apply, we've won the Best Plant in the State award. And Jason Patty, our superintendent, has won a bunch of individual awards too, and I'm not going to go through all those. We still do environmental education and outreach programs, and that is it. So, time. You have any questions?
Kurt, I noticed that in your leaks chart in 2000, I don't know, it looked like it's 2007 or something, and then it had a peak and then back down. Is some of that relative to the increase in pressure on the west side, finding your leak spots? Or what?
You know, we've had
It looked like it started down here, went up and back down. So.
Yeah, we've had a couple of major leaks on the west side of town, but really haven't seen a rash of leaks based on the pressure increase. And there are places we tripled the pressure out there.
I think where you see on Kurt's chart is maybe dealing with drought years.
That's, yeah, and
There it
Go
is.
back to it.
In 02, it was, I'm sorry, 07, it was 26 leaks, and 2016 is 26 leaks, but there's
Yeah.
certainly up to, in the meantime, up to close to 100.
yeah.
I mean, so drought times and the soil moving around.
Yeah,
causing
anytime
many
the
of those
soil
leaks.
goes, and the other thing is hard winters. We get a lot of leaks in the wintertime, so anytime we get really cold winters, we get lots of leaks too. So it's the tight clay soils, there's a lot of expansion and contraction, both in temperature and also wet, dry, some movement, so.
Okay.
We've got work to do, but we're in good shape, and Kurt's guys keep very busy, and there's been lots of improvements over the last number of years, you guys can see, as we talked about those rate increases. And we feel fortunate in the position we're in, but we know we still have work to do. So.
Okay. Any further questions? Thank you, Kurt.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll move on to public comments. Anybody from the audience wish to address the commission? None, we'll move on to next item on the agenda, which is the consent agenda, which has the minutes from previous meetings. Everybody's had this. These minutes were sent out last week. Everybody had a chance to look at them. Any comments or questions associated with the minutes? Being none, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the consent agenda as presented be approved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Next item on our agenda is rezoning of Southwest Haverhill Road from Agriculture Residential District to I-1 Light Industrial District.
Yes, Mayor. Holly Frontier is requesting the zone change, reclassifying this property to I-1 Light Industrial. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on this subject January 26th and voted 6-0 to recommend the rezone of the property. I believe representatives from Herc Reynolds are here tonight if you have any specific questions. But it makes sense, it fits with our future land use in the area.
Okay. Anybody wish to hear from Herc Reynolds?
I didn't have any specific questions. I mean, everything I read through, the minutes and all that, sounded like it was pretty unanimous.
The planning commission went over it pretty thoroughly.
Yep, agree.
I have no problem, but will you show me on the map you sent me? I see an arrow that tells me where 205 Southwest Haverhill is.
We are talking about rezoning the entire highlighted parcel.
That yellow part,
That parcel there, yes.
all the way down to Keachai.
To the creek there. From Keachai Road south
Starts
to
at
Creek.
Keachai.
Okay.
And really, at this property is in our extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction area. So we're just strictly looking at land use. The county will do everything from the site plan review to the development itself. We're just talking land use and zoning tonight.
What's the ordinance number?
G 1238.
1238?
Okay, if there's none more questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve case number 17-001-REZ requesting a rezoning of 2005 Southwest Haverhill Road to I-1 Light Industrial District, and that ordinance number G 1238 be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further comments or discussions? Roll call.
Commissioner Locke,
Yes.
Commissioner Badway,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkinson,
Yes.
Mayor Haynes.
Yes. Great, thank you. Next on our agenda, item 4 is refuse utility rates.
So Mayor and Commissioner Brad Meyer, Public Works Director, is going to give you an overview of the request and be available for any questions you may have.
After Kurt and I are done with you tonight, you'll probably be all charted out for a little while, but are we doing refuse rates first? Is that right?
Yes.
You're right.
There it is. I guess it helps if you put these on and don't lay them on the desk. Okay, so in 13, the commission, we had a refuse rate we worked on one, 14, came to the commission in 15 for a 16 implementation January 1. The commission asked us at that time to not wait as long as we did. Our philosophy in our department as well as the city as a whole is we want folks to keep the money in their bank as long as they possibly can before we have to have some of it to continue to provide the services that we do. So I put this together and I had Brian send it out to you guys on Friday so you could have a chance to look over some of the stuff that we talk about tonight. And as I'm sitting there over the weekend, I was thinking about what somebody out there in the city may wonder, what does that $14.25, what does that pay for? And so this morning when I got to work, I put some things together, and so I'll just go over it for everybody. Once weekly collection of your household trash in provided containers in the carts, unlimited commingled recycling collection and special collection, should you need it, of curbside recycling material. 2 cleanups, one in the spring where we come to you, normally in April sometime, and then a fall drop-off in October where you can bring it to us. The one in April takes a week to 2. I say a week. I guess everybody would probably disagree with that. It's more like 3 weeks. But we think it's important to help people be able to keep their yards clean, sides of the house, backyard, etc. So that's something that the sanitation department, our fund, pays for as well. The dump truck program for $15 a piece, we'll drop that dump truck off to you overnight. You get to fill it up, and then we haul it to the landfill. Year-round use of the yard waste compost facility and the brush site. So when you look at, here in just a minute, you're gonna see some comparable cities that have their own solid waste collection systems. And you're gonna see some, there it is. You're gonna see some pricing, and most of those prices just are for trash collection. Some of them include recycling as well, but most of them just include refuse collection. The neat thing about ours is the fact that everything else that is provided with that. And when a customer has a private hauler hauling trash, if Mrs. Johnson gets missed, they tell Mrs. Johnson to hold it. We'll be there next week on Wednesday to pick it up. Well, you call down and you get with us, and Mrs. Johnson gets her trash picked up that afternoon, as soon as we can. So when you look at the rates, the proposed rate increase is from $14.25 to $14.75, which is 50 cents a month. And that still keeps us right there, second to lowest, Augusta being $14.50. Keeps us second to lowest of comparable size cities and cities that provide that same service. So I think these charts, both of these are pretty important to look at, and this dates back our monthly rates from 1995 to a proposed rate and proposed expenses for the department through 2022. As you can see, those rates have remained very, very stable, as have the expenses for the department over the course of 25 years or so. The way that this fund works is we build cash and then we purchase equipment. It's an enterprise fund, and so none of the money that's in the general fund, the two don't mix. Ours is totally user-based. And so we build cash to be able to do things. So you'll see bumps and upticks in expenses, but you'll also see in the next slide, you'll see where cash and fund balance also go down to meet those two. So this is our cash history. This is how we function throughout the year. You can see in 07, 08, 07 is when late 07, early 08 is when we purchased a couple trucks. And so you'll see then for the next few years, cash goes down, and then we start working our way back up. And if you look at the comparison on the last slide, you'll see where those things go hand in hand. Those kind of roll with each other. So in 2016, we're paid off, lots of things are done, so you'll see that we are building cash. We're building cash these next 2 years, 16 17, because we have 2 back-to-back years for acquisition of equipment, replacing 2 2007 refuse vehicles. One's a roll-off truck and one's a rear-load packer truck, our downtown truck. So you see in 16 and 17, we'll build cash to a peak, and then we'll spend cash. And so as it comes time to start doing 2018 budget, we need to start saving for the 2022 purchase, which will be the replacement of a 2013 refuse collection vehicle, which is our current automated side loader. That's 3 years out from the time the rate increase hits to the time that we do that. We think that's probably a reasonable time to start asking to build cash to be able to make those purchases. 09, up in the upper left-hand corner, you can see in 09, we paid cash for carts. And so again, drop that cash back down. 10 and 11 is when we had our first automated truck, lease payments. 14, again, we continued to keep cash low, but we automated the recycle program for that so that could be done today how it's being done. And then, as I said, in 18 and 19, you have two collection vehicles to purchase. In 23, I would imagine by then, we will probably need to start replacing some carts. Those carts we purchased in 09, they come with a 10-year warranty, hands-free, bumper to bumper. If anything goes wrong with them, we call them, but that's going to be, 2023 is going to be pushing quite a few of them a ways out there, but so far we've had really good luck with them. Again, this just shows the proposed increase and where we would sit amongst cities of like services. When we talked a few months ago about this, about recycle and where we were at with our recycling program, with having to not making the money that we had made in the past on commodities, this graph it shows the exact same thing with this division. That as revenues go up, so do expenses, and as expenses go down, so do the revenues. And so we match those expenses with the money that we bring in. So again, they go hand in hand, and you don't have out of control expenses with very little revenues coming in. The department is maintaining the city's debt management policy with having the correct fund balance, adequate fund balance to be able to meet that policy. So I graphed on here and showed you the expenses and revenues, and then threw in the cash, our cash graph along with it, so that you can kind of see that, especially all the way over to the right, as expenses go up, cash goes down drastically. So. Questions?
As we're beginning work on the 2018 budget, so this is a piece of that pie. So if any rates were adjusted, they would be effective January 1st of 2018.
And it amounts to a $6 a year increase.
Right, it's 50 cents, so it's about $6 a year.
Do we send out any, some of this information is, I think, pretty valuable to our citizens, especially the ones of what you get for your money. I mean, it's more than just your trash, and it's more than what's at your curbside. Do we send out any kind of report or annual review or something to the city? I know in the water bill, we send out a water quality report. Do we do anything like that?
We could do a trash quality report.
Apparently our
thinking.
recyclables are very desirable recyclables, right?
Yeah, not so much.
Quality of our trash.
So I mean, well, and that question, I guess, is I'm setting up another comment as well, because what you get for your money is quite a bit. It's more than just trash and recycles, and it's nice to tell that story even if we tell it repeatedly. The other thing I think is important to say is, and I've had these conversations, I've had these questions, as I'm sure, Brad, you have, or at City Hall is getting it. They're picking up my recycles with the same truck, they just haul them to the dump.
That's what I was gonna say.
So it gives
Yeah.
you an opportunity to tell
Right.
that story that we're not. And
We tell that story, we've told it here, we tell it on social media, it's on our website. The only thing we haven't done, and we may consider doing it this year, is when we send out our annual flyer brochure thing, maybe including it on there as well, because that goes to every mailing address in the city of El Dorado.
And that, I guess that's what I'm asking, that at least once a year, we reach out and try and touch
Absolutely.
through a direct mailing everybody, whether it's through their water bill or otherwise.
We actually combined that with our animal control brochure, with our animal control dates that tell you when you need to have your animals licensed by, any
Okay.
changes in those ordinances or anything like
Maybe a
that.
big old decal on the side of that truck would help.
We've been working on that specifically because we do
Because that's
get,
been the phone call I've gotten more of the past couple months than I usually do.
yeah. And part of the reason that you're gonna hear more about that is because of how poor the recycling markets are right now. They're terrible.
Well,
And so you're gonna hear more communities that are not able to continue those programs like we have, and are throwing it away. And so that is not what we're doing. We have invested, in a truck that, has made us more efficient, taking extra vehicles off the road. It's a natural gas vehicle, so it's leaving less of a carbon footprint. And the guys are just getting better at running it every day, so.
well, that's good, because that's what I've reported. We're able to make one trip around town instead of two, but,
Right.
anyway, it's one of those things, it's hard, I mean, you're right, we've said it in here, we've said it in a lot of places, but there's one more place to
Yeah,
say it.
we repeat it on Facebook and social media probably monthly. That's one of our slides that runs on Channel 7 constantly, is a picture of that truck and here's what's in this side and here's what's in this side. And so, yeah, no, we
Can
can
a
never.
dash cam follow it all the way out to the landfill
Well, we do have,
and then to the recycling center?
it actually goes to the recycling center first, so that there's no confusion. So it stops off at the recycle center before it goes to the landfill, and then on to the landfill, so.
Generally speaking, do you find that when it's time to go to when it's full enough to go to the landfill, I don't know how many trips it makes per day out to the landfill. Two trips a day to the landfill. So
Which is exactly what the other truck made.
that was my question. How many?
Yeah, the other truck made 2 trips, it makes 2 trips. Generally, I'm gonna say he probably fills up on recycle first some days, depending on what route it is. But you can still pack trash pretty hard. Recyclables, they don't pack as well. So
And it's 60/40, right?
it is 60/40.
Okay, I quoted that. Then I thought I
You
better
did well.
make sure I was right.
Yep, that it is.
Well, this slide right here, I think is great. To maybe even have it on Channel
Yeah.
7 or what
Yeah.
we're getting for our fees.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You bet. And I think I have the next one too, so.
All right. Any further questions? This is not a topic we've talked about quite a bit. So.
If you put that on Channel 7, here's what your monthly fee provides.
Thank you. I can't believe that Kendra didn't pick that out.
What?
The you instead of your.
Oh, well, because I do that too.
Okay.
Unless you put here's what use.
So
why
I
are you-
would-
No, it was that, I missed the R.
All right. Let's move on. Any further questions regarding that? None. I'll entertain a motion.
We need a note.
Ordinance, Tabitha.
G 1239.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number G 1239, an ordinance amending the El Dorado Municipal Code, section 8.04.060, permitting to refuse refuge service rates. Should that be increase?
Pertaining to
Pertaining to,
refuse service rates.
not permitting.
Do what?
Pertaining,
Pertain?
yeah.
Pertaining to, I'm sorry, refuge service rates.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any further Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Badway?
Oh, yeah.
Commissioner Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mayor Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Locke?
Yes.
All right. Next up is stormwater utility rate.
Mayor and Commissioner, stormwater utility was created in 2008 after a need, first of all, with the Clean Water Act and the city of El Dorado being a regulated community in the state of Kansas, as far as needing a permit to be able to discharge our stormwater into the rivers. Along that as well, storm sewer is something that's been overlooked ever since it was put in the ground, nothing was done, it wasn't maintained. And so the city looked at this as an opportunity, one, to meet the requirements of the permitting through the state of Kansas and the EPA, and two, to fix some problem areas around town and plan for some large-scale projects that we know we have some areas around town that have needs. So the fees were established in 2008, and they were based on what we call an ERU, an equivalent residential unit. We gridded off the entire community and took residential structures out of there and got an average of what an equivalent residential unit impervious area was. And we calculated that. Anything non-residential is based on their equivalent residential units up to a maximum currently of $67.50 per month. Brad's put together some charts as well on this, and I'll go ahead and let him start in on this.
So on the same deal, when we're thinking about refuse rates, I'm thinking about what does this get you? What does this do? Scott talked about a couple of them. Large-scale planning, compliance and permitting, federally and with the state as well. I threw mapping on there because it seems like we are constantly, we didn't prior to this have good, what I guess I would consider solid enough maps to be able just to throw a shovel in the ground and start digging. So we spend lots of time finding pipes, finding manholes, and tracing down where things go. O&M planning, and then the actual work that goes along with that. And then something new over the last couple of years.
3 years.
Was inflow and outflow testing for the Walnut River. They want to know what the water's like coming in. They want to know how good it is when it leaves. And what we have done with total suspended solids, and then the nutrient, bacteria, and sediment amounts in there as well. When we first started this, kind of like Scott said, this was very neglected, and so we had lots of O&M work to do the first few years that we had it. So we had lots of time spent, not as much in large projects, but we took care of the need. We postponed a lot of the larger projects by lots of O&M on the system itself. So cleaning out ditches, cleaning out outfalls, intakes, et cetera. So there's been lots of work done, and I think phones have rung less with middle of the streets flooded with my normal residential road that was flooded because we got a rain. Just like with any stormwater system in any community, you're going to have a certain amount of that. There's just nothing you can do about that depending on the amount of water that falls. One of the big projects that was completed last year was the Prairie View Court drainage issue down there that now goes out on the golf course, under the golf course, hits the pond, and then leaves that pond. So I hate to say it, but I'm waiting for a big rain. I want to see if that works because it's got to work. I think it will. We had a couple small ones after that and during that project, and we anticipate that it's going to do exactly what we thought. Again, same sort of graphs where we talk about expenses and revenues. In 2013, I believe, for 14, the commission opted to drop the monthly ERU rate for all the residents in town and businesses as well. What that did was that kind of brought us to a screeching halt to be able to continue to do things. Because the amount of money coming in wasn't enough to continue doing the maintenance. As you can see from 10, 11, and 12, we averaged about $300,000 a year in expenses for, or about $275 a year in expenses for the department, and revenues were around $315. It allowed us to build cash again, to be able to do bigger projects. One of the purchases in 14 was a portion of the street sweeper that was paid here out of this fund. And again, it's all about keeping the material out of those catch basins, out of those storm drains, and getting it picked up.
And that is a requirement of our permit, is that we provide street sweeping services, and we have a plan of action for that.
Again, another CNG vehicle, I'll kick that one in there, that was used only one in the state of Kansas. So as you can see here, the expenses went up, and then they've plummeted off, and tried to keep those in line with the amount of revenues that we bring in annually for that. So with 2016 being almost in the books, this kind of shows you again expenses, revenue, and cash. We're kind of starting to meet right there in the middle, and so we need to get back up to where we were at when the commission reduced that amount of money. Last fall, I think we brought this to you and visited about it, and you all wanted to talk about it again later on. And so we're back tonight to request that we go back up to the original $3 in ERU that it was when the program started.
And what that'll give us the ability to do is be able to have funds available for bond payments for larger projects. Things like the downtown drainage that we're doing the study on right now. Things like potential solutions to North Main, underpasses at 12th Avenue, some others that come to mind that we know have been on your CIP, but we haven't had the cash or the revenue in there to plan those out.
We've got to have the mechanism to drive that, and that is being able to have the ability to make those bond payments and do that, all while still being able to do the amount of O&M, because that doesn't stop. There's several O&M projects down the south part of town that need to start right away. One, when you get a really hard rain, the intersection of South Main and Carr Street has water over the top of it, and part of it's because the outfall just to the east of it can't get out. It needs cleaned out, and it can't get out quick enough. It was very similar to the first underpass on 12th Street here a few years ago. That was one of the bigger projects that we had done. We got good cooperation with the landowners up there, and we're able to get in and get quite a bit of work done up there, which has, for all practical purposes in a normal rain, has eliminated that underpass being not traversable by a car instead of a boat. So those projects are very valuable, and they're ones that you see immediate help for those neighborhoods. And kind of like the Prairie View one, that one wasn't as big as some of the other ones, but hopefully that neighborhood will see that water get off the street quicker and get under the ground. So I did a comparison on this one as well. I think this one, as you look at the cities around, there's some larger cities, but when you read their permits and you read what they've got, they're very similar to what we do. El Dorado being one of the lowest again. Pittsburgh was funny when I was doing research on Pittsburgh. They are 336 in ERU plus 1 mil. So that's partially funded by the taxpayers there, and then their ERU comes from the taxpayers. I don't quite understand that, but
And one thing to keep in mind with these other communities as well is a majority of them, I imagine, do not have a max out monthly rate for non-residential. So that's a
That's
lot
true.
of revenue.
that is very true. But again, as you look at the overall, you look at the cities, and again, there's not one where El Dorado is the highest, or even above off the bottom, so. And that's that one.
So basically, you are asking us to go back to the original $3 that it was before the prior commission.
That is correct.
Okay. And if you're going to send out that first slide, it should be covered.
You didn't pick that one up, did you?
Well, I'm gonna give her a chance.
She's gonna look at it now. Now
Yeah.
we've challenged her.
Is this the appropriate time to ask for what is an update on the downtown study?
Yes, it's still going through modeling. PEC Consultants is taking our data and doing the modeling. Phased approach, looking at doing some probably additional inlets and some things like that. Larger scale project would be detention, reconstruction of the parking lot, just to the east of Gordy, to the south of First Avenue. But yep, it's all of their data is in, and all of our data is in their hands right now, and they're still working away on it.
What about unimproved basins and some of the open ditches that are around town? Does any of this funds, or what do you pay attention to some of those? I kind of go back to one that's famous, but
If there's ditches within right-of-ways, definitely the stormwater utility fund would take care of maintaining those ditches within the road right-of-ways, along with any drainage areas within drainage easements that we have the right to access and be in and maintain. And I think most of those in town have been addressed for some debris removal,
Lots of
everything from
debris removal.
vegetation management to cleaning up channels.
Reestablishing ditches,
ongoing then.
If
And these funds help with that as well. Is that
that's
correct?
what provides them, yes.
within your policy for the stormwater utility, you have the ability for neighborhoods to petition you for projects. So they have that ability to petition where the city will pay a portion out of the utility fund, and the rest will be borne by the property owners within that
Okay.
improvement district area.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
1240.
Yes.
I move that ordinance number G 1240, an ordinance amending Title 13, Chapters 13.03.050 and 13.03.075 of the El Dorado Municipal Code relating to stormwater service rates and charges be approved.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Badway?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mayor Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Locke?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Next item on our agenda would be advisory boards.
It says we're moving into that season, discussing advisory boards and members. There are two we brought up this evening to maybe have a little further discussion. One is Prairie Trails Advisory Board, and they've been having difficulties having a quorum and talking to those folks, not even really recognizing a need for them to meet right now. But if there is a need, that's a group that could be reestablished. So recommending suspension of that board. And another one we've had issues with quorum is our tree board. And we're suggesting maybe you'll consider incorporating the tree board with the functions of the Park and Rec Advisory Board. We'd take 2 members of the tree board and implement or put them with the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, and then increase that from a 9-member board to an 11.
Now, will incorporating the tree board into rec, I think I asked Tabitha this, and she was gonna look at it, whether it would interfere with being a tree city?
I think that's the function and the reason we wanna keep that and make them part of the Park and Rec, keep that distinction, and just make Park and Rec do the function of the tree board.
Okay, so it would still maintain their, okay. Because I know that's what the 2 members were concerned about, was keeping it.
That's the reason we're wanting to move them in with Park and Rec.
If necessary, we'll change the name of the board to include trees, so.
We'll check, but I really think TAB isn't just a function of having a board that's available to discuss issues with trees or plantings, or just that we have a board that performs those duties.
What's Tree City get us other than the name on a sign?
That's what it is, recognition.
Okay. Any other comments? I guess my comment here is I can appreciate the struggle associated with it, but I think I would rather table this and let David decide what kind of org chart and organizational structure he'd like to see in this, and maybe there's before doing that, before making this action, I guess I'd suggest tabling it for him to work.
Now, you want to table both options, or just?
I would, yeah, I think so. And if he takes a look at it and says and agrees, then we can make that action. But I just kind of think this might be a little premature for him.
And I'm not opposed to that. I would just offer to him, as far as the tree board restructure into the Parks and Rec, I think that's a great idea. For the 4 years I've been on, that has been a board that we've had to pull teeth to get people to even be interested enough to fulfill a quorum in that. And so as far as that one, now whether or not he, wants to have a Prairie Trails Advisory Board, that might make sense. And so
I think there might even be a bigger picture to look at in terms of how the golf course fits into our rec department.
And all this was staff looking at your all's schedule, and that you're gonna start discussing these, and we just, before you started to reach out and try to get a hold of people, that we may just address this first.
I'm fine tabling.
Appreciate that.
But like I said, I think, as long as he's aware of the history of the tree board and what it's been.
And I know the 2 members on the tree board really want to
Absolutely.
do something,
Yeah.
but they can't because they can't get enough.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, I would have no problem doing that part of it and leaving the Prairie Trails to David.
Okay. I mean,
And I'm fine with that.
if there's business that needs to be done on the tree board, then that's fine.
Because I like you, there are 2 individuals who are passionate about it, and I would prefer that we try and fill these boards with people who are passionate about the subject.
So they don't lose interest, and that's
Yeah.
a little bit our worry,
Do something before they lose their
I'm cool
passion.
moving that one than the Prairie Trails, because I think that's worth looking at, big picture wise, for sure.
Because that's going to take a little bit of history that he's going to have to get.
Yeah.
I would think so.
The tree board also has a big month coming up in April, and so they will probably need to make some decisions before that. So
Cool.
it might be helpful.
So now the rec advisory board is helping them make decisions. So now instead of a handful, we've got a lot of people making decisions on trees, right?
And it will be, it's just the information that we fill out to be Tree City, all that stuff. I think we go to some schools, I think.
Yeah,
activities
there's some
coming up,
activities.
but
Okay.
April's a busy month, and to not have a board meeting before then might.
So this allows them to have their board meeting with the next, or the subcommittee of the advisory board. I mean, it seems to me like, I'm not sure what we're gaining other than the chance that they could have a quorum and make some decisions.
They do a contest with the schools, where they'll get a kid that'll don't they do a drawing of trees or
They're actually
plantings, and then the board votes on winners and.
Isn't there Arbor Day somewhere in here?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, the upcoming busy schedule for them is try and get them votes to do what they need to
They
do.
meet the third Wednesday of the month. So we just had one last week.
Okay, so we'll need a motion to table the Prairie Trails item, but move forward with the tree board, combining it with the Parks and Rec.
That's all in one motion.
It needs to be two separate, please.
Need to be separate, please.
I move to table the Prairie Trails Advisory Board discussion.
Second.
Okay, so we moved and seconded the table, the Prairie Trails Advisory Board topic. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Ready for the next one?
Mhm.
I move to discontinue the tree board, increase the number of Parks and Recreation Board members by 2, and transfer the existing tree board members to Parks and Recreation.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. MOU with the 490 in the city for transportation.
Yeah, we're asking you all to consider MOU with the school district. They graciously agreed to provide bus transportation during the Shrine Bowl week, moving cheerleaders, band members, football players around to the different vicinities, and just a show of making this a formal partnership. We're asking you to consider authorizing me to sign the memorandum of understanding with the school district.
Okay, I think a copy of that MOU is on the next page. Any questions or comments? Will not entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the acting city manager to sign the memorandum of understanding with USD 490, an agreement forming a partnership between the city of El Dorado and USD 490 for the purpose of providing transportation-related support for the 2017 Shrine Bowl.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. New business. Chance to run down, let us know what's any new business to the commission or reports on what you've been up to.
Okay, airport, we met. There were some questions, and Brad will be coming to our next airport meeting to explain those for a better understanding with the board members. We have a new one, so that'll help him also. Otherwise, things are going well. Convention and Tourism Committee will meet next month. Recreation, Parks and Rec, we met on Wednesday. Winter sports are coming to a close. Spring sign up for sports is starting. And I think that's about it on
Okay.
that. Do want to point out that February 10th, I was asked to give a presentation to the 5th grade class at Skelly School. They have a student teacher, Sarah Lawrence from Emporia State, and she wanted a PowerPoint on city government for 5th graders. Well, being a high school teacher and gearing something toward 5th graders was a bit creative, but I got there. But I had a picture of the new trash truck that does both, and explained to that group of 5th graders that the truck does both trash and refuse. Good class, good questions. They even asked me some questions I had to say, I don't know, but I will find out for you and I'll send an email to your teacher. And so I went home and researched them and sent them an answer. So I fulfilled my promise.
All right. Nick, anything?
Only thing I have is, week from tomorrow is Trinity Episcopal Church's annual Shrove Tuesday Pancake Feed. And I believe they say 5, but I think they really kind of start around 4:30 and go till people quit coming, so usually around 7, so pancakes and sausage, free will offering, and hope to see everybody there that can make it, and hopefully the weather will be decent. Okay.
Yeah. Youth Commission, I guess, past couple weeks, we've been having the different department heads come in and talk about their departments and what they do in the city, just trying to further the knowledge of our high school students that are involved in the Youth Commission. Scott came in and Tabitha's came in, Chief Zeman came in, so I appreciate staff taking the time to come back on another Monday night to join us, so.
I guess a couple of reports, I would say. REAP is in getting ready for their work plan for 2017, and I think they made a presentation to the county for membership. I'd like to see our partners at the county get involved with that. Voice at the table for a regional discussion. Main Streets are also generating their work plan. I know they've got a meeting coming up to talk about the Frontier Western, which add that to the list of things that are happening in July, which is going to be a fun and busy month for everybody. The other thing I'd like to say is I think, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I think March 9th, Tabitha, the reception for David Dillner is being planned.
Just one moment.
It's
That's Thursday.
It's a
right?
Thursday
Yes.
evening.
March 9th.
5 to 7 at the Civic Center. I think the public is welcome to come and meet Mr. Dillner, and I would imagine since it's middle of the week, he will not have his family with him as they are still in Abilene trying to make the transition, but I would extend an invite to everybody, something that the Chamber and El Dorado Inc. and Main Street are partnering to host this reception. I think it's a wonderful time for us to share our community and come and meet Mr. Dillner. So that's upcoming.
That's the 7th?
It's the 9th.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That is a Thursday, right? The 9th? Hope I said something.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I have. City Manager's report.
Yeah, I wanted to just, well, first off, this time is usually when we have the discussion about fireworks. If you all want to start thinking about that, or if you're ready for a decision tonight, I doubt that, but start thinking about location and date. Last year was at the Broncos game, and we've had it everywhere from Prairie Trails to the Legion to the lake. So something to be thinking about as we need to start planning with our gentleman that puts on the show for this community. Start getting that coordinated. So.
Okay.
And then this time of year to go through the quarterly update of your priority list. And I'll just hit on a few of these. In your high priorities, the commission had identified water sales to the west. That's something we're continuing to have discussion about, and something that's ongoing, and we feel there's a possibility and there's a need in the region, and we think we can help with that. So those discussions are ongoing. Parks and Rec Master Plan, the sales tax task force met Wednesday evening after the Park and Rec Advisory Board. We had our first meeting of a group and went through your list of priority projects, the aquatic center, the expansion of the rec center, new ball fields and tennis courts. And we discussed that with them, discussed different scenarios of funding, from everything from a sales tax to mill levy property tax to using funds from a proprietary fund, be it refuse water, one of those funds, to help with some of the projects. As you see in the 2018 budget, our sales tax advisory committee, the ones that look at the project for excess sales tax, we've tried to identify a project in each park, be it a shelter, a basketball court, new playground equipment, to try to utilize that money to knock out some of the low-hanging fruit you all have talked about. Core area plan, don't have any movement on that. Still trying to find a funding mechanism to get that going and really come up with that vision. We are working on things like I brought up earlier, the downtown drainage, and continue to have discussions with Main Street organization on some ideas and thoughts that they have. Roads, roads are something we continue to work on. Fortunate to find out that KDOT has released some funds for us in the coming years, so we look forward to that. And a collaborative work with our economic development branch, El Dorado Inc. And that's something that's been functioning well, and it's about time to review that MOU between the city and El Dorado Inc. And Linda and myself have started looking at a draft of what that could look like. And I'm sure when David comes on board, he can help put that together.
It's past time. I think it still has CVB language in it.
It does, yeah.
So, yeah.
And it was from 2007, I believe, so it's time to take a new look at that. You have the land bank, personnel development and recruitment, connectivity, technology, and community image as a medium priority. Still looking at things from the land bank as maybe something we need to do in the future, but we don't foresee the benefit right now. Personnel development and recruitment, something we'll continue to try to reinvest in our employees. You all recently approved the rates for the 2018 budget, and that was part of a salary survey that was conducted to look at those rates and adjustments. Connectivity, Kurt brought up the AT&T and the fiber, and we've been trying to have discussions with those folks along with Cox Communications on how do we increase our connectivity and don't fall behind, especially when we're looking at recruiting businesses or industries in town that rely heavily on that infrastructure. And community image isn't something that we've got traction on yet, but that's something we understand is a priority of you all's, and I'm sure as David gets in, you can update him on that. And low is housing. We continually talk about housing. I think you're all aware of what we've been doing with housing. Increasing dining options. Something just the market kind of drives that, and the need. And from what I understand, the chamber got some information back here recently on what our community needs and what it's lacking and what it's oversaturated with. And so maybe some of that data will help us look at maybe to key in on some certain businesses that our community may really need. Airport development. You'll see in our CIP, continue to look at projects out there. Continue to look at interested business opportunities out there. Even a couple weeks ago, answered some questions regarding a potential project out there. So those things happen every once in a while. And educational facilities, of course, we're working quite heavily getting ready for the new Grandview Elementary and the infrastructure requirements out there, from everything from planning and zoning, annexation, road, sewer, water, and all that, and looking at as well as maybe what those old grade school sites could be utilized as. So that's kind of a brief shot at an update. If you'll have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Next on our agenda is executive session for legal matters and matters related to non-elected personnel. I think Scott had said something about Ashlyn going to join us by phone and need 30 minutes. So I need a motion to adjourn into executive session until, is that 8:20?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, I move to recess into executive session for the purpose of discussing legal matters and matters pertaining to non-elected personnel, and to reconvene the regularly scheduled meeting in the city commission room at 8:20 p.m.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any further discussion? In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. We will retire to executive session until 8:20.